And here we go with a video about hard drives. You can tell that this is not going to be a very happy video. Or maybe it will be a happy video, because maybe there'll be a happy ending, I don't know. But, as of right now, I'm not going to get into the whole drive failure thing right now. Instead, I'm going to talk about drive manufacturers and what I prefer as to what I don't prefer. In terms of Seagate drives, I've had this discussion several times. I'm not a big fan of them, even though I do buy them every once in a while. That SSHD that is sitting right there is a prime example. That drive is not the one that died. That drive still works. As is the 2 terabyte Barracuda that's in there. That is still going strong. No problems whatsoever. But it's the momentous drives. The 5400.6s, the 5400.5s, the 7200.4 that I have, and there have been several other drives. They've all been junk. I've replaced them all several times, had nothing but problems with them, and that is the reason why I would never recommend Seagate ever again. Unless you just happen to be in a pinch. They are cheap, and they are readily available. I will give them that. If you can find a WD on sale, they're usually about the same price as the Seagates anyways, so it doesn't matter. Since my last Seagate failure, which was, I think, the 7200.4, or no, it was one of the 5400.6s, I have been exclusively a Western Digital shop. Except for a couple of cases. I have 3 Toshibas here. I've got Hitachis that I have elsewhere. And I do have an ADATA SSD. But that's about it. The files drive is a Western Digital. That right there is a Western Digital. And I've got 3 other Western Digitals hooked up to this. As well as a WD that's sitting over there that's been around for 4 years. And trust me when I say that that drive has been abused. I don't mind telling you. It has been slammed against my bed while it's running. It has fallen off the desk. It has dangled from its cord. And still haven't lost any data with it. In fact, I really haven't lost any data at all. The only problems I've ever had with WD drives were 2 occasions. The 160 gigabyte drive that came out of that Acer netbook, but that netbook was abused in its prior life, so I'm not surprised that the drive failed. And the other was a WD Elements drive that is now sitting up on my shelf of doom. That drive took data along with it, but it wasn't data that I couldn't replace. So fortunately, I still haven't lost any real data since 2007 or so. Or 2009, I haven't lost any real data. So we're still pretty much okay on that front. WD, like I said, never had a problem with them. Always been reliable. In fact, some of these drives have over 10,000 hours of power on now. That one over there, the WD My Passport that's storing my music, has got 20,000 hours of power on it, and it's still going strong. Never had a problem. Never lost any data. But, of course, you could probably imagine that there's a reason why I'm making this video. I've never had a problem with WD drives until now. Or a real problem with WD drives until now. And would you believe that the drive that is going bad is A, one that I don't have a spare for, and B, one of the most crucial drives to my operation. The 750 gigabyte Western Digital Caviar Black drive is the one that is going bad today. And this disk is screwed, to put not too fine a point on it. So you can see we've got the model number, WD7500 BPKX. No reallocated sectors, so that's good. No reallocation event counts, but let's take a look at how many pending sectors we've got, because as you can see there are some. 128. The problem first reared its ugly head when I tried to do my regular monthly backup. As you can imagine, the backup failed, stating that there was an I/O error, and I was like, strange, okay, never seen that before. And then I noticed that Crystal Disk Info, which is the smart monitoring program that you just saw, it's this thing, said that the drive had 2 pending sectors. I was like, oh, so I'm going to send this back to Western Digital, I guess. So I made preparations to swap drives between systems, which is why that SSHD is sitting out, because I was going to use that to replace this. I found out later that that wasn't going to work for the sole reason that both of my Seagates that I've got, or the 2 spare Seagates that I had, both of which were 5400 RPM Momentus drives, those failed recently, and so they're in transit. Actually, they're both in transit back to me now. The replacements have been shipped out. They're not due to get back until next week, however. So I grabbed one of my test drives and put it into this compact. Lo and behold, the test drive I used is about as bad as those Seagates were. Although on the bright side, it actually works, unlike the Seagates. It clicks and clacks, it's got bad sectors on it, and I can't transfer it because it's got some serious other problems too. Hopefully I'm going to be able to transfer it to a bigger drive. It should be just fine doing that if I put Clonezilla into rescue mode. So that's not going to work, and in the end, I just ended up buying, because this actually has benefits, I ended up buying another WD Caviar Blue drive. Or just a WD Blue. They don't have the Caviar Scorpio names anymore, apparently. This drive is actually really thin, as you can probably see. It's thinner than a normal drive is. I didn't expect that. There's also a little bit less metal on this drive, but that's okay. It's just a sign of cheapening, I guess. Hopefully it'll last a good long while. And even if it doesn't, I got an extended... actually, this is a 3-year direct replacement plan along with it. For an extra $7. And given the drive was on sale, I didn't see too much wrong with that. Oh yes, and while I'm at hardware failures, hopefully it's going to boot off the CD-ROM. It will. This is my recent problem. I'm having issues in VirtualBox where it crashes, saying that it was unable to read a memory address. So I'm going to test the RAM here. Make sure that all of the slot sockets are good and both modules are good. Looks like they are, at the very least. So I'll let that run a full pass and we'll see what happens. How far are we here? Yeah, we're doing pretty well, I guess. Alright, the file transfer has complete. Just have to save a couple of things. Just screenshots of various things. And that's it. We can close everything else out. And prepare to replace said drive. I've already changed the page file over, so that shouldn't be a problem. And we'll see what happens. Thanks to a battery problem, this particular ThinkPad is going to be sidelined for a little bit. This is the battery from it. It only gives me about 30 minutes worth of runtime. 40 minutes on the north end. But still, it's not good enough. But anyway, let's focus in on this. For those of you who don't know how to remove the Ultra Bay device, it's really simple actually. You just undo this latch here. And I actually could do this on camera. You push that in and you push that forward. And then the device slides right out and reveals what we want to see, the WD black drive that is now failing. So let's put the new drive in its place. But first, a comparison between old and new. Take a look at the lack of metal on this particular drive here. They've definitely cheapened out on the cover a little bit, but also take a look at how thin the new drive is compared to the old one. It's about as thin as Seagate's drives. Or they're Seagate's new thin series drives. I don't know if they sell the normal ones anymore. But, certainly is thin. A lot less material in that. But, so it remains to be seen if it's really cheaper and won't last as long, or what the deal is. But, let's find out. Fortunately, it will still fit in any normal-sized caddy. We're going to move that out of the way for a second here. Flip this back over and reinstall the drive. We don't have to push in any levers or do anything stupid like that. Just push it in like that, and we're good to go. So let's start this up and see how broken Windows is. If I had to guess, it's going to need to have some stuff reconfigured. You know, I don't know if it's going to work, if it's going to shoot 6-foot flames up, or if it's going to do nothing at all, but let's find out together. I always found the fact that it turns the light there on boot up. Oh, I always found that really interesting. Yeah, just as I excuse me, just as I suspected, I'm gonna have to change the drive letter. But that's no big deal. Change that over. Close that, close this, and reboot the system once again and see what it does in response to that. And there we go. It is all back and ready to go, hopefully. Now the last thing I need to do is I need to set the sharing back up the way it's supposed to be. Oh, look at that. It even got it right. It's sharing. Hopefully it's sharing as the right name. And then what I'll have to do is I'll have to create a backup of this and then be done with it. And the drive is now officially in the box. I have to tape the box back up, but we will go do that and then get the RMA label ready to go, and this thing will then be shipped off. I wonder who will win on this one. I guess it's the printer. Heh 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 heh. Don't try that at home, kids. It could probably break something. Like your flashlight or your network switch. Or even your printer, you never know.